Hello everyone, and welcome back to World of Warships Blitz with Terry. This is the Richelieu. Yes, we're looking at another battleship. I know we just had one, but I got her out of the birthday, sale really. Not out of any events, but out of the sale. And I like this ship. I like this ship so much, in fact, that I figured I'll share with you why I like her so much. So, Richelieu class battleship. She was almost complete at the outbreak of the Second World War, and as you all probably know, the Germans kind of overran the French a little bit at the beginning of things. So, being almost complete, she had to escape, and the French sent her over to the colonies in Africa. She was complete such that, guns and everything was on there. Not so much in terms of ammunition, and she didn't have that much fuel either. She was lacking things like directors for anti-air and other certain things. So she didn't really have much of a chance to get a shakedown and immediately went over to the colonies. Now, the British were extremely concerned at the time that the Germans, having conquered the French more or less, would take over the French Navy and thus challenge the British Navy together with the Italians. So they actually went after the French and said, look, either you hand these things over or you sink them or we'll do it for you. That was a bit infamous, really. And that's pretty much what happened with this one. So she was parked in Dakar in the port, and the British tried all kinds of shenanigans to get her sunk. They tried to send a boat over with mines and blow her up, which didn't work out. They did send over some of some torpedo bombers, and they did manage to land a hit in her, which caused some flooding, and which required, some extensive repairs. Now, the problem was, at the time, in Dakar, the dry dock wasn't large enough to fit this thing in, because these are quite a bit bigger than the previous ones. So they had to build some custom form of dam around it to actually drain enough water out from the compartments and get everything patched up and seaworthy again. In the end, she did survive all the British efforts to have her sunk and survived the war. And towards the end of the war, when the French actually joined the Allies, she went over to New York, got some refits, and then joined the British in the Pacific against the Japanese. But she didn't quite get any further than doing some shore bombardment and shoot a couple of airplanes down. So, a long history on this thing. And you might be familiar with the gun layout. So the Tier 6, the Dunkirk, I think it's the preceding class to these things, had the same gun layout. So she does have the turrets pointing forward. Now, this comes with a certain set of problems, because if you look at the guns, she's got quadruple guns in these turrets, which means that if one of them fires, it shakes quite a bit. So the other ones actually get... they get off target a little bit. And throughout her lifetime, they had a lot of problems with this. And in the end, they introduced a little bit of an interval between the guns firing, just a small one, to make sure that the shake and the vibrations of one gun firing didn't too much disturb the other ones, and were able to do a bit about the dispersion. So, two turrets forward, no turrets rear. Well, she has turrets rear, but none of the mains. She has the secondaries in the rear, which is a really, really interesting layout. But what else? What else do we have here? Okay, let's have a look. So, Richelieu class, 48,000 hit points, tier 8, not the highest, but it's workable. Armor is okay. French battleships, in my experience so far, do not tend to have the most armor. But that's okay, because you will pretty much never give broadside in this ship. You will always have your bows point in, because these turrets, unlike the Nelson, are super firing. So if you can kind of see that here, so the second turret can actually fire over the first turret, which means you get all the 8 guns pointing towards the enemy by giving the absolute minimal profile for them to shoot back at you. So that's one thing. That kind of compensates a little bit for the lack of armor and health. She is fast. over 30 knots on the base. This is a really, really fast battleship. Her turn time is excellent with just over 10 seconds. This is a fast and agile battleship. You don't usually get fast and agile at the same time because they're kind of contradictory, because you have to make things slimmer and longer to make them fast, which usually makes them not turn very well. But this thing is, well, fast and maneuverable. The guns. She gets not the 330s from the Dunkirk, which was a little bit underpowered at tier 6, but she gets the 380 mils. And personally, I love 380mm guns. I don't know what it is with them, but I tend to be more successful with those than with the 400mm. The reload is down to under 20 seconds, so we almost got a German sort of reload here. She doesn't get the reload booster that you get on some other French ships, but these guns actually do a very, very respectable armor-piercing damage with 1700. And she gets the triple secondaries. Now, again, let's have a look at the positioning of these secondaries, right? So these secondaries, actually, the big ones here, so that's 1, 2, 3. These three, they can't fire forwards or even much sidewards, really. So when you bow in, your secondaries have no range or have no angle against anything. And these secondaries are actually not bad. These are 152mm secondaries. And while they only fire high explosive, they can do there's 9 of them, and they can do a very respectable amount of damage. Now, I haven't secondary spec'd her, which you probably could, but then you probably be not playing her right. We'll get to that in a second. So aside from the regular secondaries, she also gets a range of 100mm auto secondaries, which is nice to have. They only have a 4-kilometer range, so they're really just for close quarters defense, but they're there. Her anti-air is very respectable. Maybe giving a bit of credit here to being airdropped by the British. Very, very respectable anti-air for tier 8. And the surface detection is not actually that terrible for a battleship either. What do we get with elite bonus? It's either torpedo damage or main battery reload. And for a 6% main battery reload, that's better than the module 1. That isn't even a question we need to discuss. Especially not with a turn time of just over 10 seconds. And that speed. There's really no need for additional torpedo protection. The historical camo, and again, I do realize, yes, this is a premium ship, and yes, they are expensive, and so is the historical camo. And just making that point, as I usually do, you do not need premium ships to be successful. But if you want to have the one and you have the money to spare and you don't mind spending it on pixel ships, then, well, I'm at least trying to give you an idea of what you're getting for your money. So, the historical camouflage. She increases the hit points, she increases the range on the mains, she decreases the dispersion on the mains, which is already excellent, and she increases torpedo damage reduction. Okay. Especially the dispersion I was super happy about, because she is very precise. And this doesn't quite fly with how she was behaving historically, because they did have some problems with the guns. Well, maybe this is the later refit, I don't know, when they figured out that they have to stagger them a little bit. So, what have I stuck in there in terms of modules? She can get a really interesting range of equipment modules. I have gone with the dispersion main battery mod. Because, again, she's not the sturdiest ship out there. And she's not a ship you necessarily want to be playing at close range, although you can. But as long as you're not giving your broadside to anybody. But she really excels at kind of a playstyle that is similar to what the Nelson does, only with armor piercing. You find yourself some hard cover, and you shell the bejesus out of everybody at range. But that's not all she can do, because she's also very quick. You're starting maybe to see why I like this thing. Anyway, second slot goes into deck protection, because I do like me some fire damage reduction, because fire is, one of your nemesis when you're in these tiers. And this is why she has an excellent turn time, because I actually have the steering gear mod 2 in here. So there are two ways you can play her. And depending on what the situation requires, you can get yourself into a position, because she also gets the engine accelerator. She actually makes, I think, about 35 knots with the engine booster active. So you can get yourself into interesting positions, and then, well, basically be a gun platform there, and keep your bow in and firing from there. But you can also be extremely maneuverable if necessary. So if your destroyer is rushing you, you can, well, keep the distance open almost, and you can use these secondaries towards the rear to a very, very devastating effect. Because again, these are 952mm secondaries, and all of them can fire rearwards. So basically, this is a ship that you either point towards the enemy or away from the enemy, but never sideways to the enemy. If you're trying that, you're doing it wrong. Most of the time, unless there's something you just need to shoot and it happens to be at your side. But you can actually kind of almost kite away from destroyers and just keep hammering them with 152mm high explosive from the rear, because these 9 guns can do a decent amount of damage. And you can turn the main guns around to quite an angle to actually fire rearwards. So that's one way you can go. Or, well, you keep the bow in towards the enemy. You can't use your secondaries, but you can use your primaries to quite some effect. The captain I have on this thing, I actually gave her a dedicated captain. Because I think I just had too many French captains, to be honest. And she doesn't need any of the rapid reload things. So I can save the fire supremacy and actually get her onto survivalist, which is something I really, really need on these things, because she doesn't have the largest amount of health. Okay, anyway, that said, let's give her a go. Alright, we're playing on Cage, we're top tier, and what have we got in the enemy team? Double Northcal, West Virginia, a Brooklyn, a Benson, and a Akatsuki. Okay, and a Lexington. So, carrier game, but we have an excellent anti-air in this ship. So, for this kind of center control maps, she is absolutely perfect. Because again, you find yourself some hard cover, and you point the nose towards the enemy and watch them being relatively ineffective. So let's head forward. Let's say hello to everybody. And we'll be heading out towards that center island. Because if I park myself right next to that, I'm somewhat shielded from anything that comes in from the right side. Our carrier goes forward and does some scouting, which is nice. 2 destroyers.
Capture the target area.
Come on, people. Let's capture. And we'll see what we can spot. Okay, there's the Akatsuki. So that should be a priority target, because destroyer. She sails on a straight line. I've got the armor piercing loaded, so I'm not going to switch over to the high explosive. But yeah, the carrier drops her. And yes, I agree, we should focus target. But there's a Brooklyn. Let's see, can I get another shot off at the Akatsuki? Maybe. Nope, she went undetected. And there come the first aircraft. So, they're probably going to go for me, given that I'm... Well, yes, of course they are. Well, that's okay. There come the Akatsuki torps. But I'm bowing anyway, by default. So, actually this might have been airdrop torps, or are these Aka torps? No, these are the airdrop torps, okay. Brooklyn, fire out at the Brooklyn. Bow in towards the West Virginia. Took a little bit of damage. Fire, I'm just going to let it burn. No point in... on extinguishing at this point. I was just afraid of torpedoes. Do I have angles at the Brooklyn? Brooklyn is our Brooklyn is here, so I'm gonna have to support him a little bit. So I'm angling against the battleships over there. And yep, gotcha. You see, this is the new communication system in place, and I really, really like this. The only one thing that I absolutely miss is the capability to say well done. But other than that, you can kind of communicate with your teammates which targets are priority and where you want to focus your fire on, which ship needs to be sunk and needs to be dealt with. So yeah, Brooklyn. Okay, I'm taking fire from the right, so I'm just reversing behind the island. I get to use my cover. Got another salvo out at that Brooklyn over there, who's going at very low speed. And almost. Okay, come on. Let's finish her off. Don't want to waste a full reload on this thing. Can someone just finish her off? She's on like 10 health or something. Come on, just kill that thing. Okay. Nope, she went undetected. Okay, well, nobody's lost anything yet, but we're holding the cap. Okay, I'm inching forward again. Don't want to poke my nose out too far, because there's some... I would be broadsiding whatever battleship that is over there on the other side of the cap. But there's a North Carolina who just realized that he's run out of friends because we shot his Brooklyn away. So then he's giving me broadside, which, yep, I'll take. Okay, that was a bit disappointing. But, let's see... You'll notice that I'm running a different camo here because I actually played this game before I bought the historical camo. This is a slightly older recording, but okay. Oh, I think he's stopped. So these are probably going to fall a bit short. But, well, still, 2 pens. We're 1 ship down, but we're still holding the cap, and the enemy doesn't seem to... I think one of our destroyers has aggroed the carrier back there in the end.
Defend the area.
Okay, yeah, I've got this, don't worry. I'm defending the area. And the North Carolina goes like, no, screw this. I'm going home. I don't like this. I'm not playing anymore. Alright, there we go, that's better. Here comes the West Virginia. And, oh, no, the North Cal actually still wants to get fire out at me, okay. Yeah, it's fine, go for it. You try to hit me reliably with more than 1 or 2 shells at that angle. Okay, come. There we go. Okay, there. And this little ledge here you can shoot over as well. You see that? She's mostly missing. And I'm still getting some shots in. And we're holding the cap. And everybody is chasing that destroyer, which is extremely useful. Now the North Cal gets airdropped. Can I lob this? I'm pretty sure I can. There we go. That was just a little bit towards the rear because I couldn't lob over the larger part. But yes, let's finish off the North Carolina because no ship is... Well, as long as the ship has 1 hit point, it can still shoot at you. So let's just kill that thing. Okay, that's the end of the North Carolina. West Virginia, you next. Okay, she's down. We're leading 300 to 180 because they never managed to get the cap. Okay, this one next. And at this point, yes, I still got range from that battleship over there. But at this point, I'm just gonna get the speed in here and see that I chase down that West Virginia and make sure that he's not doing any more mayhem. We're still 2 ships down, but because we've been holding the cap, we're still leading miles on points. We only got 38 seconds left, so I'm just gonna get stuck in here at this point. I'm coming on our air attack, which is fine. I was a little bit low, should have aimed a little bit higher probably, because I don't think these 380s can punch through the West Virginia's main belt. Even though that's just a tier 7 battleship, but anyway, so yeah, that's a bit better. And can I get another salvo in? Yes, I can.
Target hit.
Okay,
Nice shot.
not too bad. Almost got her. I'm trying to turn around to get the secondaries to bear, but nope. But that... she's down, so that cements our win. There's that Brooklyn in the beginning that I missed. So yeah, you kind of get the idea. That's what you can do with the Richelieu. You can get great positioning. You can and oh yeah, actually we got the MVP. We barely used our secondaries, but mostly we were just positioning on the mains. But we did come out on top, a very tactical battle, but we were able to control the capture area and control the center, and well, that got us game basically, and we can use the islands to our advantage. So extremely good at this sort of thing, but also extremely versatile. Right? Imagine you have a Nelson. Once you cannot bow in with the Nelson anymore because you've been outflanked or outpositioned, there's no way you're getting out of that, not easily. Yes, you can deal with destroyers better in the Nelson because she got 9 very, very good high explosive guns, but you can run a lot faster in this thing. If you need to go somewhere, she gets you there extremely quickly. So this is an excellent ship. I love ships that are versatile and can play multiple roles rather than being a one-trick pony. She works extremely well at range. The 380 mils, even though we haven't seen any citadels here, but believe me, they can citadel and they will citadel. I've citadelled a Musashi with that, and the speed is great. You just have to get used to the position, the alignment of the guns, and not try to get like broadsides or anything to work, to get your secondaries to work. Your secondaries work great when you're kiting away and firing towards the rear. Otherwise, you're mostly not really using them, which is again why I wouldn't secondary spec these things. But they can be super effective when you do. So I know that there are a lot of excellent tier 8 battleships out there, but honestly, this one, to me, is already a little bit special. Just because of the unique kind of capabilities that she has, of the extremely well-rounded combination of firepower, speed, anti-air, and she does lack a bit in the armor department, but you can make up for that with intelligent positioning, and if you know how to do that, then I think you can be super successful in this ship. So, that's it for today. Thanks, everybody. And I'm sure we're going to get something non-battleshipy next time because don't want to overdo it. But that's it for today. See you next time. Bye.